up, Reg? I'm Professor Revelation and I'm here to tell you a little bit more about this book, the Bible. In the Bible there are 66 different books and we learned about that last week. But does that mean that there are 66 different stories? What connects them? What holds the whole story together? Well, even though the Bible was written over 1600 years by different authors and in different places, the Bible is one story. And the story of the Bible is all about salvation. This story begins in Genesis chapter 1. In it we see that God created the whole world, and the world was really good. Humans lived the way that God wanted them to live. But then we turn over just 2 chapters to Genesis 3, and the story changes. It takes a turn for the worse. Humans stuff it. They stop living the way that God wants them to live. And the consequences are huge. The world is broken. Humans continue to sin, and God sends them away from himself. But then we turn to Revelation, the very last book of the Bible, to Revelation chapter 21 and 22, and we see that salvation is completed. The world is good, and people are living with God, and God is with his people. So, everything in between Genesis and Revelation, all this is all about salvation. It's about God's plan to bring the world back to the way that it was in the beginning, or even better. Alright, it's time for you guys to do some thinking. We're going to have a quiz. When you know the answer, shout it out. The first question is, who is going to do the saving? If you guess B, you're right. It's God who's going to do the saving. The second question is, who needs to be saved? If you guessed B or C, you're both kind of half right. Because all humans and all creation need to be saved. So the story of the Bible is salvation. But does that mean that it's 66 books telling the same story over and over again? Well, no. The Bible is a long story filled with twists and turns and ups and downs, and it took 3,000 years to tell. So how does this work in the Bible? Well, the Old Testament is kind of like a movie preview. It tells us what's going to happen when salvation comes, but before it arrives. Or you could kind of think of it like a prequel. You know how there's X-Men 1, 2 and 3, and then there's Wolverine? Well, Wolverine is a prequel. It helps us understand the main story before the main story comes. So, if we were going to give the Old Testament a movie title, it would be called Salvation, the Preview. And we're going to hear more about that next week. I'm Professor Revelation, and I'll see you then.